This is John Fisher of North Chelmsford, Massachusetts. I listen to the International Radio Report every Sunday morning at 10:30 on CKUT 90.3 FM in the fair city of Montreal.
Welcome, everyone, to the International Radio Report for Sunday, December the 22nd. Hope everyone is getting ready for the holiday season. Thank you for tuning into our show today. We're here every week on Sunday mornings for 30 minutes of news and information from the world of radio. My name's Sheldon. I'm here with Jill, and we have a lot of information about special programming for the holidays that we'll pass along for you today. So it should keep you busy if you have time at your radio to try out some of these special broadcasts that will be happening. So we're going to take you first, Gilles. We're heading to Texas.
Yep, Texas Radio Shortwave Christmas Special. This is via Terry Colgan, Austin, Texas. Texas Radio Shortwave will broadcast the 2024 Texas Christmas Show on December 25th, airing 4 different times. 03 UTC on 11,900 kilohertz to North America with 250 kilowatts from Woofferton, UK. 11 hours UTC on 6070 for Europe, at 14 UTC on 9670 kilohertz for Europe, and at 18 UTC on 3955 kilohertz for Europe also. Transmissions for Europe are transmitted via channel 292 in Rohrbach, Germany, with 10 kilowatts into a omnidirectional antenna. Texas Radio Shortwave verifies correct, detailed reception reports by electronic QSLs. This includes reports from listeners using remote receivers or SDRs and listeners to our Mixcloud stream at mixcloud.com/live/TexasRadioSW. Many Texas Radio Shortwave programs are archived. We'll, of course, put the link to the Mixcloud webpage. And there's, of course, a email, Texas Radio Shortwave at protonmail.com, if you want to have that QSL. So that's going to be interesting. That the one to North America will be probably very good on 11,900 at 03 UT.
Yeah, that 0300 should be great with that much power aimed right at North America. So give it a listen. Next might be something you'll have some difficulty hearing, depending on where you are. It's an annual event. It is SAQ, airing on Christmas Eve morning, December the 24th. This is via the SAQ website. On Christmas Eve morning, Tuesday, December 24th, SAQ Grimeton in Sweden is scheduled to be on the air to send out the traditional Christmas message to the whole world using the 200 kilowatt Alexanderson alternator, a machine from 1924. The frequency, way down, 17.2 kilohertz CW. The program and the transmission schedule, they are actually opening up their transmitter hall for people in Sweden who want to go and visit it. That starts at 700 UTC. But the transmission, which will also be available on a YouTube live stream, starts at 725 UTC with the live stream starting up on YouTube. 730 UTC, they start up and tune the Alexanderson alternator. And at 0800 UTC is the Christmas message transmitted from SAQ in CW. If you are unable to hear it, you probably won't hear it in North America. You might, if you're on the coast, you might want to try on some online SDRs that may be tuned down to 17.2 kilohertz. If you can't do that, you can watch it on YouTube. The live video will be from the World Heritage Grimeton radio station, and we'll put the link up on the for the YouTube channel for you. QSL reports can be sent. They are welcomed and much appreciated. But you must report using their online QSL form only. Have all the details for that we'll put on their website for you. And if you're an amateur radio operator, amateur radio station will also be operating Sierra Kilo 6, Sierra Alpha Quebec will be a QRV during the day on the following frequencies: 3517.2 CW, 7017.2 CW, 14017.2 CW, and 2 SSB frequencies, 3755 and 7140. Those will both be in lower sideband. And you can send QSL reports to the station, not the SAQ address, but to their email at alexander.n.se or via the Swedish Bureau. So give that one a shot. It's an annual event. Very difficult to hear, though, at that low frequency where there's always a lot of background noise and interference. So you'll have to work at that one a little bit.
And another special transmission on December 24th. Media broadcast B24 schedule for the NDR groups on board. This is via Alan Rowe in Tennington, UK. The MBR B24 schedule lists the annual NDR Groups on Board, Greetings on Board for Seafarers show on December the 24th from 18 to 21 UTC. And the frequencies are 6030 via Issoudun, France, 6080 via Tashkent, Uzbekistan, 9635 from Moosbrunn, Austria, and take note that this could be one of the last broadcasts you'll hear from this transmitter site in Austria, which is shutting down at the end of the year. 11650 via Issoudun, France, 13830 via Nauen in Germany, and 15770 via Okeechobee, Florida. So something interesting. I believe this broadcast is in German, right?
Yeah, the bulk of it is in German. There are some English announcements on it. It is broadcast from Germany, so it's an annual event. It usually comes in very well on a number of the frequencies at that time. Again, 1800 to 2100 UTC. We'll post all of the information for you on the YouTube video as well. Next, we have an update. We talked to you a couple of weeks ago about Alan Rowe's holiday programming schedule on shortwave. Started on December the 14th, but it's going right through till January the 1st. He tells us that he has the third fully updated edition of his compilation of programming scheduled to be broadcast mostly on shortwave over the forthcoming holiday period up until Wednesday, January the 1st. That is now available on a link which we'll post for you. And note that the list includes both seasonal and non-seasonal programming. So there's a lot of weekly music programs as well, but many of them will have Christmas-related programming on them. The new edition that's just out contains a substantial number of additions over the previous edition and is worth downloading, even if you've already downloaded the earlier version of it. In the event that further information becomes available, he will continue to issue updates and post to the above permanent links. Small changes will be issued as incremental versions, so don't look for another completely new version. He just add a few things as they become available. So we thank Alan Rowe for putting that together each year, and you'll find a lot of interesting programs to tune into if you're looking for programs over the holidays.
So what's happening with our sun? Well, first of all, we've got to understand that a little something has changed. We changed season today, as on the 21st of December, the winter solstice has arrived. So now we are really into winter propagation with long nights and short days. Kind of interesting how it changes propagation. The sun itself is quite active. A lot of sunspots are capable of flaring and have what it takes for M-class to almost X-class solar flares. Right now it is rather quiet, but sometimes the conditions could change rapidly, and that's probably what's going to happen in the week ahead. So tune the radio and check the bands, kind of interesting, and listen to all of these stations. Well, you do need a radio, and you got to turn it on and listen.
Hi, I'm Mickey Delmage of Sherwood Park, Alberta. Hear the latest information from the world of radio, locally and internationally, each week on the International Radio Report on CKUT 90.3 FM in Montreal and online at ckut.ca.
So as we continue with some programming for the holidays, Big L, Radio London International via Channel 292 will be airing on December 22nd and 23rd. This is via Allen Road, Teddington, UK. So I've just noticed that there will be broadcasts of Radio London International, Big L, for 11 hours over December 22nd, 18 to 24 UTC, and December 23rd, 19 to 24 UTC, broadcast via Channel 292 on 9670 kilohertz, and at times on 3955 and 6070. So you got details that can be found at biglradiolondon.co.uk. Link will be, of course, on the description also.
Yeah, you'll have to rush with that one right after, long after our show airs. You'll be able to check out the first transmission on 9670 and 3955-6070. So a couple different places to look for it.
Yep.
We do have one story not holiday related, a very interesting, important story, though. It comes from the Kuwait Times via Nigel Pimblett in Dunmore, Alberta. Radio Arena, Eritrea's voice of hope under threat. In Eritrea, one of the world's most repressive countries, a tiny independent radio station broadcasting from a Paris apartment has become a beacon of hope. Transmitting trusted news for the past 15 years from a studio tucked away in the French capital's 13th district, Radio Arena, Eritrea's only independent media, is now under threat and risks going off the air due to lack of funding. In the span of a year, the Radio Arena team has shrunk from 6 to 3 people, including 2 experienced journalists who fled to France. In 2001, the Eritrean government decided to close down all private media, said Emmanuel Gime-Abata, editor-in-chief of Radio Arena. Since then, only the voice of the state has been heard, mainly propaganda. A handful of media outlets are trying to resist by broadcasting from abroad, the vast majority of them linked to Eritrean political forces. Radio Arena is the only independent and apolitical outlet, according to its team. Radio Arena broadcasts less than 2 hours of programming a day in Tigrinya and Arabic, Eritrea's 2 main languages. Relying on a network of correspondents based outside the country, Radio Arena, which means our Eritrea in Tigrinya, has become a lifeline for audiences back home. It is difficult to estimate the number of listeners given the limited access to the country. Germany's Deutsche Welle Academy said in 2017 that 520,000 people in Eritrea listened to Radio Arena at least once a week, out of a population of around 3.5 million. Its waves are often jammed, according to Reporters Without Borders, which helped found the independent media outlet in 2009. After 3 decades of war, Eritrea declared independence from Ethiopia in 1993. The impoverished Horn of Africa nation has only ever been ruled by one man, Isaias Afwerki, 78, who has cracked down on all political opposition. Sometimes described as Africa's North Korea, it's a one-man dictatorship with no legislature, no independent civil society organizations, and no independent judiciary, according to Human Rights Watch. Eritreans want to know what's happening on the other side of the world, as well as outside their borders, particularly in northern Ethiopia, where their army has fought alongside Ethiopian federal forces against Tigrinian rebels, said Bata. European troops supporting the Ethiopian government continue to occupy parts of the Tigray region. Hundreds of thousands of people have died, and 1 million others are displaced during the conflict in 2020 to 2022. The Eritrean government is not saying a word about it, said Bata. The state media outlets provide a completely illusionary image of Eritrea, giving the impression that everything is still fine, said Marc Laverne of France's CNRS Scientific Research Center. Press freedom is non-existent in Eritrea. Only North Korea is at the same level, the Horn of Africa expert said. According to this year's Press Freedom Index by Reporters Without Borders, North Korea ranks 177th out of 180 countries. Eritrea is ranked last. According to Reporters Without Borders, the country is notorious for detaining journalists longer than any other country in the world. Laverne described Eritrea as an extremely tightly controlled totalitarian system. Only a handful of loyalists to Afwerki's regime have access to the outside world, the internet, and the international press. Over the past years, authorities in Eritrea have sought to disrupt the work of Radio Arena. In 2012, officials accused the radio station of inciting its listeners to commit acts of violence against Eritrean government representatives, according to Reporters Without Borders. We were unable to broadcast for nearly 8 months, said Bata. The journalist fled Eritrea in 2009 after working for several years at the Ministry of Information, where he says he was forced to comply with the propaganda machine. Even in France, he does not feel completely safe, saying he frequently receives online threats. Maxence Peniget, director of operations at Radio Arena, pointed to numerous cyber attacks seeking to cripple its operations. Worst of all, the outlet's funds are drying up. The financial resources from private donors and U.S. and European NGOs are no longer sufficient to cover the costs, while finding new donors proves very complicated, given multiplying crises around the world. So this is really the last voice out there for the people of Eritrea to hear what's going on within and outside their country. It seems now that the station is being threatened with shutdown because of predominantly the lack of funds. So I'm sure there are all types of fundraising activities going on through various sources, but we certainly hope that a station that's as important as this can stay on the air.
Yep, and it's getting very complex in many parts of the world with the stations that often either because, in this case, lack of funding, but in many cases in different countries, like in Africa, different countries in Africa have stations that are shut down by the government itself because they just don't want to have those voices heard. And at the same time, we hear about, Voice of America and BBC that are shutting down some of their relays because they say that, maybe people are listening online, which, in a country like Eritrea, I don't think that many people must be listening online. I can tell you that. So, it's scary because you're putting whole populations at risk of not even having decent information about what's happening.
All more reason to have a shortwave radio, at least, so you can tune into some things from outside the borders.
Definitely. So we have an event coming up, the Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race 2024. This is via Texan Radio's Australia. The Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race has been run on Boxing Day, December 26th. As usual, this year the cannon will sound at 1 p.m., signaling the start of the race once again. The Rolex Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race commences on December 26th and ends on December 31st. There will be a lot of entrants that will actually do a 628 nautical mile course. The radio relay vessel JBW will shadow the fleet throughout the race and will dock in Hobart, with the fleet STS Young Endeavour will be accompanying the fleet south to Hobart and is designed as the standby radio relay vessel. So STS Young Endeavour was gifted to the people of Australia by the British government in 1988 as a gift to celebrate Australia's bicentenary and is operated by the Australian Navy as a training vessel. As the name suggests, the race is from Sydney to Hobart. Installation of an operational HF transceiver is mandatory for all vessels entered in the race. HF and shortwave radio enthusiasts can listen into position and weather reports during the race by monitoring the following frequencies: Primary HF frequency 4483 kilohertz upper sideband. Secondary frequency 6516 kilohertz upper sideband. 6516 kilohertz upper sideband is constantly monitored by relay vessel JBW, owned and donated for use during the race by Mr. John Winning, owner of Appliances Online. JBW is a 70-foot motor cruiser. There's also weather broadcasts or weather forecasts from the Bureau of Meteorology that can be heard. 4426 kilohertz, 8176, 12365, and 16546 kilohertz upper sideband at 030, 0430, and 0830 UTC daily. On 2201 kilohertz also, 6507 and 8176 and 12365 upper sideband at 1630, 2030, and 1230 UTC daily. Tasmanian weather forecasts on the above frequencies are also at 0130 and 0530 UTC. And the Tasmanian Maritime Radio on 2524 kilohertz, 4146, 6627 kilohertz upper sideband, 0345, 0633, 0903, and 2145 UTC. And there's position reports on 4483 kilohertz at 0835 and 2035 UTC. So this could be tough to monitor, but could be very interesting. I suggest probably using Kiwi SDRs in that region where you'll probably be hearing a lot of action, and especially on the two specific frequencies of primary and secondary HF, which is 4483 and 6516 kilohertz upper sideband.
Yeah, that's a really interesting event, and the importance of having HF communications is indicated there by all those various frequencies, not only for communications but for weather broadcasts. It can get pretty rough down there, so very important that they can get all that information via shortwave radio.
So we have upcoming ham radio contests and event. The first event.
Yeah, a lot of stuff, actually. It's quite surprising.
The first event, the Sentinet, not to forget, the Sentinet is going on right now. You can listen to it daily at 01 UTC on 3916 kilohertz lower sideband, and it goes on until December the 24th.
We have an ongoing event, which will be running through until the 25th of December. It's the 6th annual 12 Days of Christmas event run by amateur radio operators. Each station is tied to one of the 12 items in the 12 Days of Christmas song. For example, Whiskey 2 Papa is operating as the partridge in the pear tree, Whiskey 2 Tango as the 2 turtle doves, etc., etc. So there are 12 stations and a couple bonus stations as well. They are both located in New Brunswick, Eastern Canada. So if you work all 12 of these stations and one or two of the bonus stations, you get what's called a Clean Sweep Plus certificate. And this is available. You can link to a Chaser's worksheet, which you can download and print it out and take note of all the stations that you hear on the air. And then the certificate will be available for you to pick up online on January the 31st of 2025. It's really neat. I think, Jill, both you and I worked, got the certificates last year with all the different stations that were on the air. We've already heard a few of them. They've been running since the 14th of December. So you have until the 25th of December to work or listen for these stations. We'll put a link up for you of where you can find a list of the 12 stations, plus the bonus stations, and all the details of how to log them and to get your certificate on January the 31st.
Yep, I'll try to finish. I got about half of the stations logged.
Oh, great. I've only got one so far, but I didn't put in a lot of time. I did get it last year, but I'll probably chase a few more of them before the 25th again. So what else do we have? We have two other events going on. The DARC Christmas Contest, that's organized by the Deutsche Amateur Radio Club. It's running from 8:30 Zulu to 10:59 Zulu on December the 26th. It's CW on 80 meters and 40 meters, and SSB also on 80 and 40 meters. And it's in specific frequency ranges, which you can check for them. So that should be kind of fun to listen to. One of the big events taking place, though, is here in Canada. It is the Radio Amateurs of Canada organizing their annual winter contest. It's a 24-hour event, December the 28th from 0000 Zulu to 23:59 Zulu. The bands and modes, 160 all the way through 2 meters. You can use either CW or phone, SSB, AM, or FM. And there will be special stations on the air using the RAC suffix in their call, each one in each section or province of Canada, as well as the territories. So, for example, here in Quebec, we'll have VA2 RAC, Ontario VA3 RAC, etc., going all across our country. So the contacts, it is a contest. Contacts with Canadian stations are worth 10 points. And if you actually contact the RAC stations, there are 20-point bonus points for working those RAC stations. So check that one out. All the details are on the RAC website as well, rac.ca. So that should keep you busy. Lots going on over the holiday period.
Yeah, and that's a great contest to hear all Canadian provinces and territories also.
So that is going to do it for today. We do want to wish everyone a very happy holiday season. We want to welcome 3 new members to our Facebook group: Warren in Chase Hills, New York, Butch in McGaysville, Virginia, and Eustace, who doesn't tell us where he is, but we welcome him to the group as well. If you want to reach us, our email address is radioreport@yahoo.com. Our program live streams and is archived on ckut.ca. Our Facebook group, look for us under International Radio Report, and you can join there. Catch our show whenever you like at your convenience on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@IRR. And our X account is @IRRCKUT. We invite you to follow us there. So that will do it for today. Thanks for tuning in. As I said, have a great holiday. We'll talk to you before the new year here on the International Radio Report on CKUT 90.3 FM in Montreal.
Merry Christmas, everyone.